as is made pretty obvious by the new, very ominous sounding intro theme, this is the final chapter of Sigurd's story, and really the epic finale. Basically, all the events of the previous chapters have pretty much just been leading up to this. This is where everything comes together, and we finally get to fight these traitors who've been manipulating everything right from the beginning. So this basically introduces you to all the people who are standing in Sigurd's way, which is a lot. Basically, he's now got to storm Granville and fight his way through all of these very significant figures and their armies. Well, I guess except that mage fighter in the middle, she's really just a generic boss, but apart from that, they're all very significant characters. So, no shortage of epic fights in this chapter. And it begins with another NPC rescue situation, kind of similar to Chapter 2, except in this case it's Sigurd's own father. And trust me, he won't last long without your help. Now, that is a pretty good response there. I probably didn't mention this before, but the army names in this game are all German in origin, although they generally just mean things like blue knights, green knights, yellow knights, etc. But still, relatively interesting. Although, they may seem a bit weird in this translation because they've effectively had to have been translated from German into Japanese and then back into English. And Danon is actually Langerbolt's other son. Yeah, made obvious there. But, and here, back again, is Andre. We didn't get to fight him last time, but we definitely will now. And his army is the same as when we saw them last time, which is a pretty big problem, but thankfully we won't be dealing with him until later. Oh, well, you're one to talk. You killed the prince of your country and blamed it on someone else's family just so you could wipe them out. Anyway, and a pretty significant ally, too. And that thing Sigurd just said will actually dictate the strategy you're supposed to use now. But anyway, before then we have preparations. And it is very, very important you have Sigurd fight in the arena now. Even if he's maxed out his level by now, he really, really needs the gold. So this is really your last chance to get him lots of gold before, well, I won't spoil what's coming, but he will need it. And I cut out the rest of it just because, well, I'm guessing you're all sick of seeing Sigurd in the arena now. So, I'm going to show it with someone else. Yes, Levin. Now... Okay, that was just a... Yeah, anyway. I need to repair Hull City first. But... Okay, by this point, you have a lot of characters who are capable of getting through the arena very, very easily. Like this. Now, it's really important that you have legendary weapon users fight in the arena as much as possible. Because their weapons cost an absolute fortune to repair, and you will need to keep repairing them. On that note, it is massive overkill going through these early battles with Hull City. Levin can actually take on most of the early opponents just with Elwind. I'm just using Hull City because, well, it's cool when you get massive overkill on these guys. But anyway, probably best to use Elwind against these early opponents, and only using Hull City when you really need to. Unfortunately, as you see here, yes, Great Shield still works. Which essentially forced me to waste one use of it, and thus 1,000 gold. The thing with Levin is, unlike Bridget, who can kind of afford to use a steel bow, Levin really needs to keep Hull City equipped at all times. Just in case a really powerful enemy comes who would actually be able to hit him otherwise. And really, you kind of get all the gold you need to repair your weapon from the arena matches by fighting there as well. Yeah, that guy's no problem. Of course, he does have a Night Killer, so that's a bit of a danger to mounted characters. And that may look like a crappy level up until you realise that most of his stats are maxed out by now. Although, I think in this playthrough, I have got pretty lucky with Levin. He generally always maxes out magic and speed, and practically maxes out skill. But luck is the real stat that is, well, no pun intended, luck-based. If he gains even a few points in luck, it'll really, really help him though. I mean, I'll have to spend some of this gold repairing the weapon, but he still ends up with more than he started with. And now, he really doesn't need that shield ring, because he's really not going to be getting hit, well, at all. So, best to sell it. Now, here's something that I think looks pretty cool. Basically, the bonus from the shield ring actually stacks with Sylvia's defense sword, so if you have her buy it... Now, technically speaking, it would be more productive to get her to buy the leg ring, but I just like to show this. She gets a pretty huge boost to her defense stat, which is helpful in case she ever does get attacked. It's also quite helpful in the arena as well. It means she can actually fight the first few battles there. And just showing Telchu here, just for a little bit. Despite joining really underleveled, she is very, very good at the arena. You do have to watch out for opponents like that, because if that guy had hit her twice, Yeah, she would have failed. She is best against people who can do enough damage to get her down to very low HP, but not reduce it to 0. Like this. That just brought her to Wrath range, and now this guy is basically doomed. So against opponents like this, she pretty much wins, unless you get really unlucky and she misses, which is not likely due to her very high skill stat. And cut out some of the rest. Basically, I don't think I've shown this yet. This is the Fortune Teller. Now, it's useful to see if you're close to making pairings, so I'm doing it with Bridget there. You know if two characters have 500 love points. If he says that, you and insert character name here are bound to each other.